I'm Aaron Sagers, and this is Talking Strange.
Hey, Den of Geek and Talking Strange fans, Aaron Sagers here, and I'm chatting with some of the cast and creatives of Lumina, which is the new alien abduction, horror, action, adventure flick that is coming out for you guys to check out. And we're getting a sneak peek tonight. And I'm going to start with Gino McKoy, who is the writer and director of this film. Gino. First of all, how you feeling, man? You got a Hollywood premiere of this flick happening tonight. How you feeling?
Getting hot flashes right now.
That's just me that's causing that. That's,
okay.
You're just in my
blushing.
presence.
You don't make me blush on camera. But no, I think it's really blessed to be here, to do this. Independent filmmakers getting this opportunity to go a wide release, to theaters in the U.S. is like a very big thing, and I just count my blessings I'm here and for this premiere and having Den of the Geek here, it's great because I've been a big fan of your site and your content for years. Being a comic book fan, being sci-fi fan, everything else, paranormal, all that stuff. So, real privilege. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, before we get into the guts of this film, I do want to know, what was the story behind the story? How did this come about? What made you think, you know what, aliens?
I was inspired by that with George Lucas as a kid.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him? Yeah. He's a guy. He made this movie.
I mean, he is the ultimate indie filmmaker. Yeah.
He made this trilogy, when I was a kid, and it inspired me because I was reading the books when I was like 3.5, 4, and I was like, I really want to own my own Millennium Falcon one day. And that was like something that I grew up like watching and stuff in sci-fi, and I got into it. And then I got into more stuff like Predator, with John McTiernan, and I spent a weekend with him. And we had a beautiful conversation about a script I wrote, a sci-fi script I wrote. And, I was in Florida, after I did a movie. I was writing a movie in Hollywood a number of years ago. And I wrote this in 7 days. And I said, I want people to experience what it's like to feel when someone is gone or someone is abducted by an alien. How does it affect that loved one or affect the family and friends of those people? And psychologically, that's where I wanted everyone to go, and that's why I came up with the idea for this movie.
You went down a rabbit hole looking at these cases as well, right?
Oh yeah, we talked to MUFON, guys from Disclosure. I was interviewing a lot of people from like the U.S. military and the Marines, and they gave me their personal stories about this, and they said, this is what happened, and the same people. Like, the average people, the really good people, and they give their personal stories. I'm like, you know what? This is really some content that I want to cover. I want to explore this, and I love sci-fi. So this was like, the right avenue for me to come out with this movie. And it's really bringing a lot of light to it because a lot of people are reaching out to us now, and they want to share their experiences in terms of like their abductions and their experiences with UFOs and this type of phenomena.
And David Seychell, you're the executive producer of Lumina, and I'm curious about your entry point into this, what made you want to get involved with this script, with this film, with Gino, and just what your thought was overall about this world of aliens and extraterrestrials and alien abductions.
My involvement is I know the family. So I'm a generation older than Gino. I'm close friends with his mother and father. And that's how it started. It started as a close friendship with the family. And his mother asked me about 20 years ago, I'd say between 15 and 20 years ago, she had a lot of faith in her son and her son's creative abilities as a singer, as a writer, and whatever the future held at the time, and asked for some financial help in order for her to be able to assist and help her son. And there are other scripts that I read before. Can I say there's Little Miss Innocent, there's Spider's Web, and for me, I just said, whatever makes you feel creative, whatever you feel that you can contribute, go and explore. I'll support you. I'll support you with whatever financial means I have, and I'll support you in anything that I can do. This is not my world. I was a business person making cardboard boxes. Maybe not as exciting, but it was good to me. So I look at this movie as a science fiction fantasy. I question my beliefs about what do I believe in, but then do you have to believe that there are creatures under the ground that move whenever somebody makes a sound? Do you have to believe that Ripley and Newt single-handedly killed 100 aliens with their bare hands? So you can let your imagination run through, and maybe if the movie makes people think about some of the secrets, some of the depths, some of the possibilities, that's good. It's intriguing. For me, though, I look at it as a science fiction fantasy just to open the doors. I did not have any creative input. I did see a screening a couple of years ago. Maybe Gino's friends and myself gave a couple of suggestions on some of the editing, but that's all. I did not get involved with the writing. I did not get involved with the directing. Gino has enough talent to do all of that. My involvement was initially with the family, and then it is to support a young man develop his talent. And this is where we are 2 weeks before the release. A little nervous, but certainly very excited.
Right on.
Okay.
And Ken, I'm going to throw it to you because, we have this world, we have this kind of big opening scene, the driving action of the abduction. And then your character, George, comes into play. And he's a great character because he's funny, but he's also the voice of the believer. He's the Mulder of the group in a way. Yeah. So talk a little bit about the formation of that character. How much of it rings true to you personally? Are you a Mulder? And yeah, go on from there. But yeah, let us know a little bit about George.
Yeah, well, George is a big conspiracy theorist himself. He's always explored these things that happen in life. So when it comes down to his friend, having his girlfriend abducted, he's called upon, and he comes into the screen, and he's basically just sharing his understanding, reaching out on blogs and things like that. My personal belief on it, I've always been in that same mind frame. I always looked out to the stars, and everybody sees stars, and I've always believed that every star we see, there have planets and things orbiting around these stars. I've always believed that life exists beyond this planet. So when I was able to read this script and to be able to align myself with this character, I just went all in. I really appreciated the fact that we've had a script that actually talked about these types of things that I could actually relate to and involve myself in, because I personally believe that there are extraterrestrial, aliens out there. That's just my belief, and when I was able to embody myself into this character, and at the same time, a lot of people that believe in conspiracy theorists, they sometimes they think they're kind of wacko, So what I wanted to bridge was to bring a personality to it, to make people more at ease with understanding how real it is to some people that they just don't talk about it. So that was my take on it, and I think the film is great. I really appreciate Gino's work and creativity. His direction was incredible.
But I gotta say, George the character, I like him because as a nerd myself, I always say spooky nerd is what I call this world. But he's a nerd. You believe him. You believe he's into it. He's likable too. Yeah. But then you arrive at this premiere, you're looking all suave and svelte and everything. I didn't recognize you at first because I'm like, that's not George. That's not the George that I know.
Right. No, I went deep, man.
Yeah. Actually, if we're showing our socks, I do have my alien socks.
There you go.
Guys,
there you
okay.
go. Rocking the alien socks, man. Represent,
you know
brother.
What? Well, actually, and let me do a follow-up on that. It's actually an interesting point because a lot of this genre, like the involving extraterrestrials, UFOs, aliens, paranormal, it doesn't normally involve a black man at the center of it or as one of the main people. It's I think you even joke in the movie, it's I'm the guy that dies first, you know? It's but it's cool being the informed person being a black man and being the informed person in this genre. Did that resonate with you?
You know, I really just being just being a person living on this planet, I just relate to it. And being that I'm African American, a lot of people just don't talk about it. A lot of my friends don't talk about it. It's not on the table. We normally talk about NFL or NBA, things like that, but no one really gets into this lifestyle of looking at things beyond the earth. And that's where my mind is. And like I said, I really appreciated the fact that there was a script that came onto the table that I was able to explore this genre, you know, and getting other people, other cultures to relate to it, because it is a subject that is widespread.
Well, on that note, Gino, you've got the story, the prime story, but there also seems to have a lot of lore behind it, a lot of world building that's taken place beyond that. Obviously, we don't want to spoil the movie, but can you talk a little bit about the overall, like, the worlds that you've built up here, some of the backstory of the extraterrestrials, or, you know, what went into the actual plot? I think you know what I'm getting at, but I'm also dancing around to where I don't want to reveal too much. So talk about the backstory of all of this.
You want me to donate blood right now, but I can't really do that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But, like, you know, maybe after. You know? But for me, when I approached it, it was like, how do I make this relatable? How do I get even the female audience to watch sci-fi? And it was an interesting thing that when we did a test screening of this movie first, David was talking about it. I had my friends in the industry come out, all different demographics, ethnicities, or everything else, women to come out to it, and they saw the movie, and they came to me afterwards and they said, you know, I don't normally watch sci-fi, but I'll watch this movie because it had an underlying love story to it, and it related to them. It was relatable. And I wanted to make this relatable because abduction, love, how it affects somebody psychologically, and how it could impact anyone. Like, I mean, if it could happen to me, it could happen to you, is what some of the abductees said, right? And I wanted to make it relatable to that point where, you know, you could say, you know what? This stuff really is real. It's not, you don't have to be ridiculed. You don't have to face that type of, like, you know, that type of stigma because you believe in this. And I built the world around that in terms of, like, well, you know what? What would happen if they go to another planet? Or, like, what would happen if this happened to this certain loved one? Where would they go? Where would their mind go? And I get a lot of that too from a lot of the research and the reading that I did, you know, from my university days, you know, and Above Top Secret and all those conspiracy sites that I went down and read about and spoken to so many different people, and that really helped me form what the basis of my world would be.
I was thinking about, because you guys filmed in 2020, right? Largely in 2020.
During COVID.
Mm-hmm. And the story you've been working on for a while, and it was
2016 I wrote it.
So that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is 2017 is when the New York Times front page starts talking about aliens, extraterrestrial research within the government. Now, you know, us nerds, we've been into this stuff for me all my life. We've always been into this kind of thing.
Oh yeah, all our life, yeah.
But the timing of this, what seemed like maybe accidents or delays, do you feel now that in 2024 this has more relevance, makes more of an imprint, a footprint in pop culture than it would have in 2016 and more than it would have in 2020?
Absolutely, Aaron. You're on the money with that. You hit the nail on the head. If this had come out a little bit earlier, people would be like, oh, is this another alien movie? But now it's not just another alien movie. It affects society. We had the congressional hearings. You know, David Grush went out there and he talked about what he saw. People are talking about what they're seeing. People are coming forward. People are even emailing us and saying they want to share their experience. So this is, like, relevant to now. Mm-hmm. And I guess, you know, serendipity and, like, you know, God wanting it to happen, it happened right now.
Yeah, and David, why don't you add to that from the, you know, executive producer standpoint?
Yes. People are getting more educated. People are getting more interested in finding out if there are any secrets. It just seems that if something's been hidden or if there's something that was once accepted, it is being questioned. So I feel that the timing is right. Yes, I hear more questions and stories about extraterrestrial life. There are interviews about people being abducted. But it is timely. It is timely. At least it raises that point, as I said before. It makes you think. My type of movies are usually the spy thriller with a lot of twists, and sci-fis for me are entertaining. And this movie, when I was watching it, and I saw director's cuts, but I saw it twice, in its entirety, the way that it is. And I was waiting for that twist. It is something that this is not just a predictable start to finish with a happy ending or a non-happy ending. There are twists that you are waiting for, so it keeps you intriguing. And maybe it answers some people's questions, maybe it raises more questions, but it certainly is worth that. There are some things that I missed the first time. Maybe I wasn't paying attention or I wasn't deeply in there. And Gino said, "Oh, you have to take a look at some of the things on the walls and some of the other things. Everything leads to it." And so the second time I paid more attention, and I may be left with more questions than answers. But it certainly gets a person who is interested in the story and dedicated to watching the movie. It's not a predictable ending, certainly, and it is. Besides entertaining, it is also intriguing, and I commend Gino on being able to install those emotions or those thoughts in a person. I mean, I'm 20 years older than him, and I made sure that I brought people with me who are also from a younger generation, and I asked them their opinions as well at different times, and they all said this is interesting. It is a very entertaining and intriguing movie.
Well, the production took place in Morocco, and we were talking earlier that I've been to Morocco, gorgeous place, and there's parts of it where it feels like you really could be on another planet, and there's also parts of it where there's no light pollution. It's dark out there. Yes. Oh, yeah. You guys are out there. Yeah. You're filming a movie about all of this weird stuff that's out there. Did you ever look up in the sky? Did you ever see anything? Did you ever think you saw anything in the skies? Anything like that?
What I did see was, I've never been in the Sahara Desert till that time. And it was the first time when we were filming that same night. We're in Ouarzazate, in Klaus Studios, and they shot Gladiator, they shot Troy there. And we're under the stars. And I've never seen so many stars in my life. Right. It was one of the most beautiful things I've seen. I don't know, you saw that, Ken?
Yeah, man, I saw Mars. Stop. I saw Mars, man. It was amazing. It was amazing.
So that's to be in the Sahara and shoot. That was like a special time. Yeah. It was special. It was It was COVID.
Yeah.
It was. I feel like that's a turning point of the world. We've been talking about this for a while on our going back on our conspiracy sites, and 2020 was that point, that turning point. And I feel like that was the turning point.
Yeah. Well. And yeah, serendipity, the timing is everything. Well, before I let you guys go, I need to go down the line. We'll start with David. Okay, the abduction is about to happen. You're about to get taken. What kind of abductee are you going to be? Are you going to go along willingly? Are you reluctant? Are you a fighter? So what kind of abduction is it going to be for you, and how are you going to hold up? So, David, go.
Hey, man, I love flying. If there's one thing that I could wish for, it would be to have wings. If somebody's going to take me as high as I can go, I'm in for it. I've had a good life. I've had a lot of adventures. I will not resist. Fortunately, I do not have a wife and kids to miss me. I have some other things going on. But I would gladly go. I would gladly go because my belief is if there is alien life, it is not necessarily horrible and malicious. Maybe they're interested in finding out something about us. So I would go willingly participating and with the thought that I might be back or I may not come back. Maybe I'll like wherever I go and want to stay.
Okay. So, all right. So that's David Seychell. He's ready to go. He's ready to get beamed up. He's ready to fly. Gino McKoy.
I'm ready to go, but my wife won't let me go, bro. She's gonna tell those aliens, he ain't going nowhere. He's like, if he's going, I'm going. So that means there has to be 2 abductions in the same place, brother.
A twofer.
That's what it is.
Like a
2
buy
for
one,
1.
get one. Yeah.
Buy
It's
one,
like-
get one. That's it, man.
What are you going? Are you fighting?
Yeah, no,
you staying?
I'm out. I'm gone, and then we're gonna have to have another movie about my wife trying to come find me. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah,
what we're
yeah,
gonna do.
yeah. That's what I'm
Lumina
right.
2.
Lumina 2.
Lumina 2.
Yeah, okay, well, it's like, Star Trek 3. Like
And then we hope.
the search for Ken. Is there a story that you've got banked for Lumina, the sequel?
Oh, yes, I do. It's something I've been writing, but I only wrote a treatment for. I wrote like half the treatment, like about 10 pages. But it's definitely dealing with the family of the.
David, Gino, Ken, thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you so
It's
much,
been
man.
fun, and check it out.
Thanks so much,
Lumina,
man.
it is happening.
Den of Geek, man. Best site, man.